I come from a pretty devout religious background, Mormon of course, and my mother was divorced from my biological father, so I was pretty much raised by my stepdad, and the biggest teaching he ever gave me was modern revelation and how strong that could be in your life. And from my mom's side, I definitely got you have an dying support group like your family, and that's your core. And I was fostered, I was raised in that, and it was beautiful, and it gave me so much strength growing up. And it was kind of hard to start identifying when I realized that I'm not really attracted to girls. Like, I wasn't excited to turn 16, so I'd go on dates with girls, and I wasn't excited. Like, the youth groups, going with scouts was way better than going with the girls. And when the moment I was at home and I realized I am gay, I just kind of broke down and started crying, because it was really hard to realize that everything that I had been raised in and grown up with, that I wouldn't eventually add to that I wouldn't have children that would grow up with that, and that was really difficult for me. Right after the moment that I realized that I was gay and that I broke down, it was everything. I was hypersensitive to everything in the world, the way that I moved, the way that I spoke, the way that my parents would look at me, the way that my siblings and it was even worse when I went outside. When I went to school, I was so worried about even looking at a guy. Most of the time I just looked straight down to the ground. And I did not understand it in any way, and it was so hard for me to wrap my mind around this world, because I grew up in a rural area and we didn't really talk about gay issues because we didn't really have gay people, and that was difficult because I felt so isolated, and that I was the only one going through this at the moment, and that there was nobody in my class, out of my friends, out of my family, that could really connect with me and help me through this. And so I went back to the first thing, my stepdad. I fasted and prayed and tried to beg God to, throw me that lifeline, and that was difficult. Just waiting, because I don't know if I expected beams of light to come down or what, but it was just really rough being so alone with that. It took a while. It took a lot of fasting and praying, and then eventually what I realized is that God doesn't have a problem with me. He wasn't upset with me, and that it wasn't a judgment on my character, and that I was still a good person. And relearning to love and value myself was a kind of a journey, and it's kind of hard. And it was kind of great to go down to my aunt's, and she didn't really know what was going on or anything, and my parents didn't really know. They kind of suspected things were going on because I was having so much trouble, and they knew that I was fasting and all this stuff. And it was really nice just to go down to my aunt's and go to church and do the normal thing, and not have all this pressure and weight on me about what I am or what I was not. And I guess the greatest turning point was my mom kind of asked me about everything, and one of our connecting things was her and I would go out to the garden and we'd just pull weeds together or do whatnot. And she asked me hey, I wanted to chit chat. So we went out, and it was probably a weekend, I'm not sure, but she kind of started touching on the subject, and I immediately shut down and kind of just looked off to other places, and I didn't want to touch base with what she was going to talk to me about. And so then she asked me the question. She asked are you gay? Do you think you're gay? And I just kind of froze. And the thing, I'm so grateful for my mother, because she's probably one of the best people I've ever met. And she just reached out and touched my leg, and she's all, I will love you no matter what, and that your stepdad loves you, and that your family's still here for you. And that, I think that was the biggest weight that kind of got left off, it got relieved, as I was I think in those few moments I realized that I still could have the family that I wanted, that I could still have the children that I wanted, and they could still be raised and loved in the family that I was raised and loved in. And that brought me so much peace. And then I had to start coming to terms with the fact that even though my family is my undying support, that my church may not support me in the life that I wanted to live. And that was its own difficulties. And it was difficult starting to relate to my friends. And one of my really good friends that I grew up with, he told me about, like, you should go to reparative therapy, you should do all these things. And we got into a lot of fights, and we eventually, like, you know, went our separate ways, and we don't talk that much anymore, which is unfortunate. But though, when it came down to it, like, I'm really glad, and it seemed a lot easier on me than some people, because I had my family didn't immediately just cast me out, which I'm so grateful for, because I couldn't imagine going through not having the church and having all my friends, like, have all that backlash onto me. Like, I couldn't have done it without my family.